he said, "This MAGA country punches me right in the face." And I see the attacker masked, and we ended up tussling by the stairs. Fighting. There was a second person involved. I noticed the rope around my neck and I started screaming. I don't know what to say to that. Ties a noose around your neck and pours bleach on you. MAGA hat as the cherry on top of some racist sundae. You know, it feels like it's bull. It's bull. The return address said in big red, like caps, MAGA. Did I make that up too? Absolutely. You do such a disservice when you lie about things like this. It's bull. It's offensive. The fact that we have these fear mongers, these people that are trying to separate us, and it's just not okay. Mm-hmm. It's just not okay. And that says a lot about the place that we are in our country right now. I'm sorry. Okay, we're getting somewhere.
All right, guys. So one of the most hilarious stories of 2021 is the Jussie Smollett trial. Okay, I remember covering that trial, and man, oh man, right? There were revelations that came out during that trial that just made me lose it, okay? Because it was so hilarious, okay? From the time this guy entered to a report of some of the things that were happening during the trial and some of the revelations. Like, for example, that Jussie may have been in a sexual relationship with one of his alleged attackers, the Nigerian brothers, the black guys who are running around yelling, "This is MAGA country," right? At like 2 a.m. in the middle of Chicago to beat up gay black actor Jussie Smollett. Yeah. Again, they could have been in a relationship. I truly do believe that relationship was a menage a trois going wrong, okay? Because reports are that, again, that Jussie was smoking weed with these guys, okay? Probably running around, hotboxing the car, whatever with them. They would have steamy makeout sessions in a bathhouse, right? They were into all types of stuff that, again, makes me believe that this was a menage a trois going wrong. At the very least, it was a homosexual relationship going wrong. But Jussie says no. This was a real attack. Okay, they actually really attacked him for real. Yeah, I don't really believe that. But if it, in fact, was a real attack, again, it was a homosexual relationship going wrong. Jussie was attacked because, again, there was a misunderstanding with the relationship. Okay, maybe there was some jealousy involved. And since these guys are two brothers, I would assume that they were sharing Jussie, right? They was dividing up and sharing Jussie, right? And Jussie only had so much juice for the both of them, right? Couldn't handle both of these men, okay? But the guy melted down, almost in tears, basically, when he got found guilty. Talking about, he didn't commit suicide or whatever if anything happens to him, and that he didn't do it, and blah, 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 blah. Now, he's appealing, okay? He actually miraculously got out of jail because apparently it was torture for Jussie to be in jail, right? All the woke activists came out and vouched for him to be out of jail, and then lo and behold, like, liberal cities tend to do, they let criminals out of jail because apparently it's racist to lock up black folks, right? Especially if you're black and gay. You got two infinity stones of wokeness. At the very least, they don't really want to lock you up nowadays, right? So they let him out, and he's appealing. Now, his career is basically over. However, if he wins his appeal, which he might, honestly, then maybe he can revive his career. However, the Osundairo brothers, who are the Nigerian brothers that he's alleging attacked him, even though he paid them to attack him, they're actually kind of speaking out about this, right? And they are redoing the incident that happened that night in which Jussie allegedly paid them to stage a hate crime against himself. So I actually want to react to this because this is so funny, right? This is absolutely hilarious how Jussie allegedly staged this MAGA attack at 2 a.m. in the middle of Chicago on himself. So without further ado, let's get into it.
They took our beautiful bench. This is where we waited for Jussie to come before we attacked them. So we got here with 10 minutes to spare. and we had to plan our escape route to survey the land. His building is actually right here, right above the stairs that we're going to attack him at. We made sure we got there at 2 a.m. sharp.
On the dot.
On the dot. We had no phones because he did not want us to bring any phones. He said, so we don't lose them. I don't know if that's really the reason, but you can deduce your own reason. So 2 a.m., he was nowhere to be found. He was not there. So we were like, damn, what do? We didn't have no way of contacting him. He had no way of contacting us. So we waited here for about, what, 4 minutes?
It was about 4
Roughly
minutes,
4 minutes.
but it felt like forever.
Because it was cold as balls. So I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I was like, okay, that's him. Let's go. We gotta go get this Empire fat. Yeah, that's him. That's him. Is that him?
That's that neck.
Stand there.
Yeah, that neck.
Oh, he's
Can you believe this, bro? Can you believe how this man's story went from some white MAGA hat wearing homophobes, right, beating them up in the middle of Chicago, to some Nigerian MAGA hat wearing homophobes beating them up in the middle of Chicago? Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And people believe this, bro. People at one point believed this man's story, that this is actually what happened. Some MAGA hat wearing homophobes beat up Jussie Smollett in the middle of Chicago in, again, the middle of the night. Amazing. Amazing.
fast. Come on, let's get him.
Get that neck.
Let's get him. As we crossed the street, we said, hey, to get his attention.
Hey, Nick.
Hey. He turned around, looked at us, and that's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey.
Aren't you that Empire?
Hey, Empire fat Nick. It's MAGA country.
Yeah.
And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him. I held the blow because I didn't want to hurt him, of course. So I made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. That was very important for him because he said, hey, don't just beat my ass, make it look like I'm fighting back and whatnot. So we did that, and then I threw him to the ground. And after I threw him to the ground, he had no bruise. I wanted it to look more real. So then I threw him to the ground. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie. So I went like this. Why did I do that? To give him a scar, to give him a mark, to make it look real, like he really did get his ass beat. After I did that, I fake kicked him. I don't know what he was doing. I wasn't paying attention.
That's where I came around with the bleach, the infamous bleach in the hot sauce bottle, poured it on his shirt. Then I finally put the rope around his face. I did not put it around his neck. I just placed it on his face, and that's when we took off.
Oh my God. You know what's hilarious is that Fox Nation is doing this, right? So this was produced by Fox, which is absolutely hilarious. Juicie's appeal is backfiring because here's the thing. Juicie's name is still in the headlines, which he probably likes, but it's not just about winning your appeal, okay? It's also about winning in the court of public opinion if this guy wants to get his career back, right? This right here is definitely not going to help him, right? This right here definitely is not going to help because these guys are basically telling their side of the story and explaining exactly how it went down. And I believe them. This is exactly how it went down, right? He definitely paid them to stage it against himself. And then once he figured out that people weren't buying this story, that there were a lot of holes in this story, he decided to change it, right? And that's clearly what's going on here. That, and again, I think this is a sexual menage a trois going wrong. But if he wasn't doing the appeals process, if he would have just took his 150 days, I think he'd probably be out by now, right? He'd be out by now. He'd be done with it, and he can move on with his life, and it's not in headlines anymore. Him doing the appeals process because he just don't want to sit in jail for a crime that he's obviously guilty of is keeping this dragging on, and he's getting more embarrassed, right, as time moves on. The best thing for this guy is to drop it at this point and be done with it and to just let it die. But it can't die because, again, he's obsessed with not going to jail, right? Again, for a crime that he obviously committed. So Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.